Welcome to Eco 102, Study Session 6, Open Economy Transaction. Introduction. Up to this point, nothing has been said about transaction that exists between countries. This was deliberate in order to enable you grasp the basic mechanism of output determination analysis. In this study session, we will relax the assumption of no foreign trade and examine its implication on national output determination. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this session, you should be able to discuss what international trade stands for, appreciate the importance of international transactions in the determination of national income, discuss the concept of exchange rate, international trade. There are two ways by which international transactions take place. These are through exports and imports. Sales of domestic goods to the rest of the world or outflow of goods to the rest of the world are called export, while the purchase of foreign goods or inflow of goods and services from the rest of the world is called import. There are a series of theories propounded for the justification of engaging in international transactions. These include theories like comparative advantage, New World Trade Theory, and so on. The analysis of each of these theories is beyond the scope of study. Therefore, we will take it as given that each country knows why and what to export and import, and from where. Net export. Export and import activities of a country are recorded in a book called current accounts. A country's current account is said to be balanced when the value of its purchases of goods and services from other countries is equal to the value of goods and services sold to foreign countries. That is, when export equals import. When export is greater than import, we say the country has current account surplus. Conversely, when export is less than import, we say the country has current account deficit. The difference between export and import demand is called net export. We can then extend the aggregate demand to include the net export component as follows. AD equals C plus R plus G plus X minus M. Net export function. Exports depend on spending decisions made by foreign consumers or overseas firms that purchase domestic goods and services. The spending decisions are guided by the level of income, price, taste, and fashion of the foreign consumers. We would therefore assume that exports are determined by factors outside the control of the home economy. This allows us to treat it as an exogenous variable. Imports, on the other hand, depend on the spending decision of domestic consumers and, on the other hand, domestic firms using foreign raw materials, capital goods, and intermediate goods. The latter is treated to be exogenous because, in most cases, firms know the amount of intermediate goods or capital goods they will need for their production. In fact, we can say that this set of goods is basic for production to take place. We would then assume that this aspect of import is also exogenous. Another aspect of import demand is the one that changes as income changes. When income rises, this aspect of import demand rises as well, and when income falls, it falls. Therefore, we have two components of import demand. the one that is fixed and the one that varies with income. Because export is exogenous, while a part of import is an increasing function of income, then exports are negatively related to national income stroke national output. Let X0 represent planned export demand, M0 represent imported basic investment goods, while M1 represent an aspect of import that changes with income, that is marginal propensity to import. Finally, let M represent total import demand so that M equals M0 plus M1Y1, where Y is the national income. Therefore, net export function can be written algebraically as follows: X0 minus M, that is X0 minus then bracket M0 plus M1Y. And we can therefore expand it and say X0 minus M0 minus M1Y. Consider a set of income levels, say Y equals 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, and 3,000. Let planned export demand equal 800 and let marginal propensity to import equals 0.2. Finally, let exogenous import equals 250. We can construct net export tables as follows: GDP 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, 3,000. We can construct net export table as follows: GDP 1,000, export 800, M0 250, M1 200, M0 plus M1 450, net export 350. And when GDP is 1,500, export 800, M0 250, M1 300, M0 plus M1 550, net export 250. When GDP is 2,000, export 800, M0 250, M1 400, M0 plus M1 650, net export 100. When GDP is 2,500, export is 800, M0 250, M1 500, M0 plus M1 750, net export 50. When GDP is 3,000, export 800, M1 250, M0 600, M1 plus M0 850, net export minus 50. The table shows that export demand was higher than import demand, net export being positive, up to the point when income was 2,500. If we graph import function, you will find out that import is an increasing function of income. As income rises, import demand also rises. Lastly, note that as income is increasing with fixed export demand, net export is falling. This implies that net export is inversely related to income, prices of international transactions. Export and imports are both affected by international prices. When imported goods and services are purchased from abroad, though we pay in local currency in the local market, importers actually purchase those imported goods with the currency of the foreign country from which such goods are purchased. For simplicity, let us assume that a unit of good worth $2 is to be imported to Nigeria from the United States. Importer would need to pay the US producer in dollars before such goods could be purchased. This means that some naira has to be exchanged for dollars. The rate at which the naira is exchanged for dollar is called exchange rate. In particular, exchange rate is the quantity of domestic currency that can be exchanged for a unit of a foreign currency in order to allow international transaction to take place. Let the unit price of Naira currency be Naira, while that of the US is dollars. Then exchange rate of Naira to dollar will be the rate at which the Naira exchanges for dollar. To compute the amount of Naira needed when we want to buy $10 worth of US product, given that ER is 50 Naira, exchange rate is 50 Naira. We proceed thus. Exchange rate is 50 Naira, which implies that 50 times 10, and that will give us 500 Naira. Let us assume that the exchange rate now falls to 25, and then the amount needed to purchase a $10 US product is 250. What this implies is that as exchange rate falls, import demand becomes cheaper, and as it rises, import demand becomes more expensive. A fall in exchange rate is called exchange rate appreciation. A rise in exchange rate is called exchange rate depreciation. What is the implication of exchange rate on export demand? Consider a US consumer that intends to buy Nigerian product worth 1,000 Naira. How much dollars does he need for the transaction? Given that exchange rate is 50, we proceed thus. 1,000 over 50, which will give us $20. This means that the consumer needs $20. Now, let the exchange rate be $25. That means $40 is going to be needed. That is, the foreign consumer needs $40, an extra $20 to purchase the same basket of goods. What this implies is that all other things being equal, appreciation of domestic currency relative to foreign currency makes export expensive and makes import cheaper. Conversely, if other things remain equal, depreciation makes export cheaper and makes import expensive. Hence, any factor that changes exchange rate will cause net export to change. If exchange rate appreciates, export falls, import rises, and net export function shift downwards and to the left, such that aggregate demands fall. If exchange rate depreciates, export rises, import falls, and net export function shift upward and to the right, such that aggregate demand rises. Another factor that can affect trade flow is the changes in domestic price level relative to foreign price level. Consider first a rise in domestic price. On the one hand, foreigners will now see domestic product as more expensive relative to both goods produced in their country and to goods imported from their country, from other countries. On the other hand, domestic residents will see imports from foreign countries become cheaper relative to the prices of home-produced goods. As a result, they will buy more foreign goods and import will rise. Both of these responses will cause the net export function to shift downwards. As it shifts downwards, aggregate demand falls. Thus, increasing domestic prices will cause net export to fall. Consider a situation whereby domestic price level falls relative to foreign price level. Domestic goods exported will look cheaper in foreign country relative to home-produced goods, and so goods imported from, say, other countries. As a result, home country export will rise. On the other hand, the same change in relative prices, home-made goods become cheaper relative to foreign-made goods. will cause domestic countries' import to fall. Thus, the net export function will shift upward in exactly the opposite way to the previous situation. Thus far, we've established the fact that changes in foreign GDP, changes in exchange rate, and international differences in inflation rates caused net export function to shift. What is the implication of these factors on the equilibrium aggregate output and aggregate income? This is a question we provide answer to in the next section. Equilibrium in the open market. The aggregate demand will now include net export, that is export minus import component. However, equilibrium output is still the level of output at which desired aggregate demand equals national output. To establish equilibrium in an open economy, let us rewrite our aggregate demand function and incorporate net export component. To put the matter very simple, let us assume that planned aggregate demand is given by AD equals C plus I plus G plus NX. Let C equals 610 plus 0.8Y, I equals 220 and G 300, NX equals 10 and T equals 250. Note that planned private consumption has fallen by 10 units, but this has been taken care by net export, which is 10. Equilibrium output can be achieved as follows: AD equals 610 plus 0.8, then bracket Y minus 250, bracket close, plus 220 plus 300 plus 10. 610 plus 0.8Y minus 200 plus 220 plus 300 plus 10, which will equal 940 plus 0.8Y. At equilibrium, AD equals Y, hence Y equals 940 over 0.2, which gives us 4,700. This implies that the equilibrium has been restored, but in this case through the net export surplus. From this simple example above, it is clear that positive net export can be used to recover the economy from recession, while negative net export can also plunge the economy into recession. In particular, exchange rate policy, domestic inflation, and foreign inflation have implications on the output performance of the domestic economy. A rise in domestic inflation can plunge the economy into recession through a fall in net export, while a fall in domestic inflation will help economy recover from recession through increase in net export. Specifically, this analysis implies that an economy that is in recession can recover by reducing import demand and increasing export supply, which can be achieved through exchange rate manipulation or reduction in domestic price level. Summary. In this study session, we discuss the meaning of international trade. We explore the importance of international transactions in the determination of national income and analyze exchange rate. This is the end of study session 6. Thanks for listening.